Imagine that you are walking down a forest. All of your senses are heightened as you struggle to navigate your way through the darkness, when all of a sudden,
I remember waking up in ICU. Both my girls were in the hospital with me in the room. They seemed very upset. The first thing that came to my mind was trying to lift my leg under the blankets. Because my kids just didn't look happy, I just tried to crack a joke. Wow, this cast is really heavy. And I remember my girls breaking down and crying, and they were the ones that had to tell me I lost my leg.
that was Sandy LaPlante. Nearly 5 years ago, Sandy's vehicle was struck by a drunk driver. Sandy suffered many injuries as a result of the crash, including the loss of her left leg. The harm done by the crash was not only physical. Sandy has experienced the effect of ghost limb.
It starts with if you get one of your hands falls asleep or your leg falls asleep and you get that tingly feeling. Mine is like 10 times over. It feels like somebody's cutting it with a razor blade. It feels like the foot that's no longer there, and that's where all the pain is. It's down in the foot I don't have.
For those of you listening that don't quite know what ghost or phantom limb is, it is essentially the sensation or pain that feels like it's coming from a body part that's no longer there or just got amputated. Ghost limb is just one phenomena that amputees, such as Sandy, experience when they lose a limb.
I'm on my 15th socket, 1-5. My limb has never really accepted it, like an issue after issue after issue, staying in one. My life has changed drastically, like nothing is normal anymore. Even to the point to take a shower, like it's very difficult for me. I have to use a walker, I have to sit now in the shower, and I have to use chair lifts to sit on them to go up because I'm not in my prosthetic. So I have two beautiful granddaughters, and the hardest thing for me is my youngest one is going to be 3 years old. She runs to me for me to pick her up. I can't pick her up and walk with her anymore. So much was taken from me. Sometimes I have a tough time going places because people do nothing but stare at me.
Have you ever lost the feeling in your arm after laying on it too long? Maybe your finger has gone numb from the cold. Amputees like Sandy experience weird and uncomfortable sensations similar to that all the time. Can you imagine how strange it must feel to suddenly lose one of your senses? After hearing about this experience, do you think she'll ever achieve the same extent of human touch as before? Hello everyone, my name is Nick Fight, and you're listening to What Makes Us Human, a weekly podcast that tries to understand the connection between technology and the human body. On this episode, we're going to talk about the sense of touch, and if it's possible to artificially mimic this vital sense that humans are born with. Is it possible to use research, experimentation, and human experience to determine whether or not technology is successful in making us feel human? The answers to these complicated questions may not be obvious at face value, but we can further our understanding by going right to the source, the humans most connected to technology. If you were to lose something such as the sense of touch, something that I'm sure you use on a daily basis, what impact do you believe that would have on your life, and how do you think your life would change as a result?
Right, so that's going to limit my most basic functions, like just getting up in the day, doing the basic things like showering, eating, sleeping, and like feeling the comfort of the bed is...
Honestly, it's not something I've thought about a lot, but now that you bring it up, I am, like, one of my love languages is definitely like physical touch. So like I find a lot of like love and meaning in life just from like knowing people love me by like feeling their touch. I guess like I'm a big hugger, I love high fives, like that sort of thing. So I guess like not having that would really like negatively impact my life, and I feel like I would definitely be missing out.
Well, for me personally, that's going to take everything away because I am that kind of person. I love dapping people up. I love hugging people. I love like expressing myself through like good touches, you know, giving someone a pat in the back, dapping them up if they do something good, you know, like, and so like my whole world revolves on like, you know, affirmation and the sense of touch. So I think that would take away one giant communication tool that I use, and I think that would just destroy my life. Yeah.
As you heard from the responses, it sounds like the sense of touch is extremely important, especially when it comes to forming physical and emotional relationships. When these students were asked about whether technology may be able to mimic the human sense of touch, they were skeptical, but hopeful.
With recent developments in technology, scientists are trying to mimic the sense of touch and other human senses through technology. Do you believe that technology will ever allow individuals that have lost a limb, such as an amputee, regain that sense of touch at an organic level?
I like to believe it will. I think, I'm a really hopeful person, and I hope that for those people who have lost that, technology can one day, mimic that feeling for them. I don't know if we're there, currently right now, but I definitely think it's something, worth exploring.
However, without personal experience, our own opinions may be biased or misinformed. For that reason, let's hear from someone who may have a deeper understanding of the connection between technology and physiology.
A few years ago at work, I was involved in an electrical accident at work, which resulted in me having to amputate my right hand. I used to clean restaurant exhaust, so I was up on a roof and a transformer had faulted and arced a bolt of electricity into my back. And I was standing in a puddle of water with rubber boots on, so not grounded. So it exited through the right side of my body, eventually amputation on my right hand. I was 29 now.
That was Jason Barnes, a drummer that lost his arm in a work accident in 2012. The loss of his limb, however, has not deterred him from continuing to pursue his passion for drumming.
It's extremely fortunate to happen when it did. He was actually kind of looking for his next project, and he built robotic musicians, and I myself was a musician, so kind of went hand in hand. It's extremely fortunate to happen when it did. He was actually kind of looking for his next project, and he built robotic musicians, and I myself was a musician, so kind of went hand in hand. So you have the socket here, and there's sensors in the socket, and then you have the actual device, which runs off 2 motors and some computer chips, and there's actually 2 sticks. So one stick, I can control myself, the velocity, the tightness of the grip on the stick.
Jason Barnes is currently working with Dr. Gil Weinberg, a professor and researcher at Georgia Tech who has created a cyborg arm that enables Jason not only to play the drums again, but with seemingly superhuman capabilities, such as increased speed and accuracy. How important is the ability to feel? We don't mean emotions, quite literally the sense of touch. It is so important that an individual would pay hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars to get the sense back. Is it worth it, considering the technology hasn't been fully developed to achieve a complete organic level?
Pain is, of course, unpleasant, but it's also an essential protective sense of touch that is lacking in the prosthetics that are currently available to amputees.
That was Luke Osborne, a graduate biomedical engineering student at Johns Hopkins University, who is currently working on the eDermis project, which I'm going to explain in just a minute.
After many years, I felt my hand as if a hollow shell got filled with life again.
That clip was from an anonymous amputee that served as the principal volunteer for the eDermis project. The eDermis project is a prosthetic hand that researchers are working on. It has mechanisms and fabrics that are able to mimic how the skin layer on fingers can feel pain. It recreates the sense of touch and slight pain by sensing stimuli and pressure from the prosthetic and relaying it back to the nerves. This ability for the prosthetic to sense pain not only prevents the wearer from damaging the prosthetic, but also allows the wearer to feel more human, like they are starting to get the natural sense of touch back. We've heard from technology-dependent individuals, research experts in the field, and individuals directly impacted by sense-creating technology. The fact is, humans will become increasingly dependent on technology to serve as accessories, assistive devices, and even parts of their physical embodiment. What does it mean to be human? Is it purely biological, emotional? Can the definition be fluid? The senses are an important aspect of human biology that current research is trying to implement into prosthetics. Returning senses using technology effectively makes us more human, but current methods aren't capable of perfectly mimicking the human experience. There are still many improvements to be made. Think about all the things you hear, the things you smell, and the things you feel. How does that impact your life? I'm Nick Fight, and thanks for tuning in on this episode of What Makes Us Human.